Okay, before we get started, I should probably establish my credentials. I have been seriously collecting watches for only about 5 months, which technically makes me a noob, but I did not exactly ease into the hobby. I fell straight down the rabbit hole, bought more watches than I probably needed, watched an unreasonable amount of videos, and spent way too many nights researching movements, specifications, brands, and caliber numbers. And one thing became obvious very quickly. Watch content throws a massive amount of information at new collectors. A reviewer will say, this uses the Grand Seiko NS85 high beat movement running at 36,000 vibrations per hour with a 55-hour power reserve. And then they immediately move on to the bracelet. And there's nothing wrong with that information. In fact, those specifications are important. But when you're newer to the hobby, you are often expected to understand what every caliber number represents, where that movement sits in the manufacturer's lineup, how it compares with other movements, and whether any of those specifications should actually influence your buying decision. Then another review mentions the NH35, the Miyota 9015, the ETA 2824, the Sellita SW200, Sea-Gull ST19, Tudor MT5602, the Omega 8800 series, the Rolex 3235. All of these names and numbers mean something. The problem is that there is rarely one place that connects all of them. You can find a video about NH35. You can find another about ETA. You can find articles explaining Omega movements. But learning how the entire movement world fits together usually means bouncing between videos, manufacturer websites, forums, articles, and specification sheets. That is what I have spent the last several months doing. So I decided to take that research and turn it into the resource I would have loved to have when I started. The Noob's Guide to Watches. The idea behind this series is simple. Each episode will take one part of the watch hobby that can feel unnecessarily complicated and put the important information together in one place. Not watered down to the point that it becomes useless, but also not explained as though everyone watching has already completed an apprenticeship in Switzerland. We are going to cover movements, metals, crystals, water resistance, sizing, complications, certifications, straps, bracelets, servicing, and all the other terminology that has been thrown around in watch reviews. I am still relatively new to collecting, and I'm not pretending to be a watchmaker, but I have done the research, and my goal is to organize it, verify it, and explain it in a way that helps other collectors understand what they're actually hearing when they watch a review or read a watch specification sheet. And we are starting with mechanical movements, because fundamentally, the movement is the most important component of a mechanical watch. The dial is what catches your attention. The case and bracelet determine how it looks and feels. And the movement is the machine that makes the entire thing work. But mechanical movements are not all the same. Some are inexpensive workhorses designed to be dependable and easy to replace. Some are thin, high beat, highly accurate, are built to support complications. Some are supplied to hundreds of different watch brands. Others are designed and manufactured specifically for one company. And those names, NH35, SW200, 9S85, 8800, MT5602, ST19, are not just random combinations of letters and numbers. They identify movement families. Once you understand how those families work, watch specifications become much easier to decode. So today, we are building a movement map. By the end of this video, you should be able to recognize many of the most common mechanical movement names, understand where they fit, and have a much better idea of what is actually powering the watch you considered buying. Let's start with the basics. First, the most important rule: there is no universal movement numbering system. The 35 in NH35 does not mean the same thing as the 35 in Rolex 3235. These are not engine sizes, performance scores, or levels you unlock. Every manufacturer has its own system, and sometimes that system feels like it's designed specifically to keep new collectors humble. So do not start with the number. Start with the name or prefix in front of it. NH normally points towards TMI, which supplies Seiko-related movements to outside watch companies. SW means Sellita. ST, and sometimes TY, usually points towards Sea-Gull. MT means manufacturer Tudor. DUW is Nomos. And the B before Breitling caliber often points towards Breitling's manufacturer or collaborative movement families. You will also hear the words movement, caliber, and family. The movement is the complete engine. The caliber is the exact model number. A movement family is a group of closely related calibers that share the same basic architecture, but add or remove features like a date, day, display, GMT hand, small seconds, a chronograph, and finally, supplier movement does not mean bad, and in-house does not automatically mean better. In-house sounds impressive, like a watchmaker made your movement fresh out the back of the boutique. But a common supplier movement can be extremely dependable, easier to service, and much cheaper to repair. The movement name is information. It is not a quality score. Let us start with the movement family you will probably see most often in affordable watches. The Seiko-related NH family made for outside brands by TMI. The easiest way to remember it is that the letters tell you the supplier family, and the last two numbers usually separate the functions. NH35 is the basic three-hand movement with a date. NH36 adds a day display. NH34 adds a central GMT hand. NH38 is a clean no-date option that is often used in open heart or no-date watches, and the NH70 family is skeletonized. These workhorse movements normally beat at 21,600 vibrations per hour, so the seconds hand takes 6 visible steps per second rather than the 8 steps of a 28,800 vibration movement. The NH35 is not expensive, thin, or beautifully finished. That is not its job. Its job is to be affordable, durable, easy to source, and familiar to watchmakers. It is the small block Chevy of entry-level mechanical watches. Not exotic, but it starts every morning and parts are everywhere. Inside Seiko branded watches, you will usually see different family prefixes. The 4R family is the mainstream workhorse level and is closely related to the NH movements. The 6R family normally represents a step up, often a longer power reserve. The 8L family is used for high-end Seiko watches. And Grand Seiko's mechanical movements use the 9S prefix. Miyota is the other giant Japanese supplier you need to know. Miyota is a part of the Citizen Group. The 82 series, especially the 8215, is the inexpensive, proven workhorse family. The 8315 is the newer long power reserve option. When you move into the 90 series, you are generally moving into a thinner, higher beat, more premium family. The 9015 is a date. The 9039 removes the date. The 9075 is the important traveler style GMT movement because the local hour hand can be adjusted independently. So here is the simple Miyota decoder. 82 and 83 usually mean affordable workhorse. 90 usually means thinner, 28,800 vibration premium territory. The exact last digits tell you the configuration. Orient should also get a mention. Its current mainstream mechanical movements often carry F6 family numbers, while higher-end Orient star models use families such as F7. Orient is a great reminder that an affordable watch can still use a movement produced within the brand's own corporate manufacturing structure. Now we get to Switzerland, where the movements get more expensive and the naming somehow becomes both more recognizable and more confusing. ETA created several architectures that became industry reference points. The ETA 2824-2 is the classic Swiss three-hand automatic with the date. The 2836 is a familiar day-date relative. The 2892 is a thinner, more premium automatic base. And the 2893 family adds a GMT and world time style functions. The Volue 7750 is the famous automatic chronograph family. If you see chronograph subdials at 12, 6, and 9, along with a fairly thick case and a rotor you can sometimes feel wobbling on the wrist, there is a decent chance you are looking at a 7750 or something descending from the architecture. ETA 6497 and 6498 are large hound-wound movements with pocket watch roots. The Preju 7001 is the opposite, a small, thin hand-wound movement often used in dress watches. Then you have the newer Swatch Group specific descendants and branded versions. Tissot's Powermatic 80, Hamilton's H10, and several Longines calibers come from the broader ETA ecosystem. The brand-specific name does not necessarily mean the movement was created from a completely blank sheet of paper. Sellita is the other Swiss name that every beginner should recognize. The SW prefix is the giveaway. The SW200 is the mainstream three-hand automatic family that fills the same generic role as the ETA 2824. The SW210 is hand-wound. SW220 is commonly associated with day-date configurations. The SW260 brings small seconds. SW300 is the thinner premium automatic family. SW330 is GMT. SW400 is a larger diameter automatic platform. SW500 is the familiar automatic chronograph family, while SW510 includes different chronograph layouts and manual wound options. The dash number matters too. An SW200-1 and the newer SW200-2 Power Plus are different generations. The SW200-2 is a major redesign with a 65-hour power reserve, which is a perfect example of why a complete suffix matters. Letters after the number can identify the exact date position, hand, layout, skeletonization, moon phase, or chronograph arrangement. But do not treat Sellita numbers like a perfect decoder ring. The family tells you the broad architecture. You still need the full reference to know the exact version. ETA and Sellita are not the only Swiss suppliers. You may also see La Joux Perret, Ronda, Saprode, and STP in affordable and mid-range Swiss watches. The important lesson is that Swiss does not automatically mean ETA, and a brand's number may simply be its name for a supplier movement that has been decorated, regulated, modified, or customized. Chinese mechanical movements are much more varied than the phrase Chinese movement makes them sound. Sea-Gull is the name most beginners will encounter. Its mechanical families often use ST numbers, with TY sometimes appearing in export listings. ST16 and ST17 are affordable automatic families. ST19 is the famous hand-wound column wheel chronograph family used in the Sea-Gull 1963 and many affordable chronographs. ST21 is a higher beat automatic family. ST25 is used as a base for multiple complications. ST36 is the large hand-wound movement you often see in pilot watches, and ST80 is associated with tourbillon movements. The ST19 is the standout because it gives buyers a real mechanical chronograph with visible levers, wheels, and a column wheel at a price where Switzerland may give you a quartz watch and a polite handshake. You will also see the PT5000, which sits in the familiar ETA 2824 style category, along with movements from Hanzu and Peacock, also known as Dandong. Here is the warning. Chinese movement names are not always disclosed consistently by sellers. A listing may use a family name loosely, leave out the manufacturer, or identify the movement by the architecture it resembles. Look for clear rotor markings, movement photos, and the complete caliber, not just a vague phrase like premium automatic movement. A Chinese movement is not automatically junk, but quality control, regulation, parts availability, and the brand assembling the watch matter a lot. Once a brand starts using its own caliber numbers, the prefix and the family history matter even more. Omega is a perfect example. Caliber 2500 was an earlier coaxial family based on the ETA architecture. The 8500 generation marks a major modern Omega automatic platform. Today, the 8800 family is commonly found in smaller automatic watches, while the 8900 family is commonly used in larger models and includes an independently adjustable hour hand. The 3861 is the modern manual wound moon watch movement. The 9300 and 9900 families are automatic chronographs, and caliber 321 is Omega's historically important column wheel chronograph architecture, recreated for modern production. Do not try to make the first digit into a perfect Omega rule. Think in generations and families. 2500 early coaxial, 8500 and 8900 modern automatics, 93 and 9900 chronographs, and the historic Speedmaster numbers 321 and 3861. Rolex is slightly easier to recognize by generation. The 31 series includes many famous older movements, such as the 3135. The 32 series is the current mainstream automatic generation. 3230 is the no date. 3235 adds the date. And 3285 is the GMT. The 4130 and the 4131 are Daytona chronograph generations. Newer 71 series calibers include movements such as the high frequency 7135. Tudor spells out the clue for you. MT means manufacturer Tudor. The MT54 family generally covers smaller diameter movements. The MT56 number covers many of the larger Black Bay and Pelagos applications. MT5652 is GMT, while the MT5813 is the chronograph in current Tudor naming. The U suffix identifies meta certification versions. Breitling gives us a great example of why you must read the whole caliper name. BO1 is Breitling's manufacturer automatic chronograph platform. BO2, BO4, and BO9, and other B prefixed calibers are related manufacturers or collaborative configurations. B31 is the newer three-hand manufacturer caliper. But Breitling also uses numbers such as caliper 17 or caliper 13 for supplier-based movements. The B prefix and the brand's own documentation tell you much more than the number alone. We all know that Grand Seiko is known for their spring drive, but they also do have automatic movements, and the Grand Seiko system is extremely useful once you know the prefixes. 9S means mechanical, 9R means spring drive, 9F means quartz, and inside the 9S mechanical family. 9S64 is manual wound, 9S65 is automatic with a date, 9S66 adds GMT, 9S85 is high beat, and 9S86 is the high beat GMT. The newer 9SA4 is a modern hand-wound high beat movement, while 9SA5 is the automatic version. Other names worth recognizing include Zenith's El Primero chronographs, JLC's hand-wound reverso calibers, IWC's numbered families, Panerai's prefixed calibers, Cartier's MC movements, and Nomos Alpha DUW. Oris and Tag Heuer also prove that a brand caliber number does not always mean completely in-house. Some families are proprietary, while others are renamed or modified supplier movements. The name on the rotor may be the watch brand, but that does not automatically mean the entire movement was designed from scratch by that brand. Sometimes the rotor is basically wearing a branded t-shirt. So when you see a movement number in a listing, ask 5 questions. 1. Who actually manufactures the base movement? 2. What family is it from? 3. What does this exact variant add? Date, day, GMT, small seconds, chronograph, or longer power reserve? 4. Is the brand using the supplier's original name, or has it renamed and modified the movement? And 5. Can the movement realistically be serviced or replaced where you live? For affordable reliability, an NH35 or Miyota 82 series movement can be a completely sensible choice. A Miyota 90 series, ETA or Sellita movement can give you a thinner or smoother running Swiss style experience. Sea-Gull can provide genuinely interesting mechanical complications at low prices, and manufacturer movements become valuable when you care about brand-specific engineering, unusual escapements, longer power reserves, finishing, or exclusivity. But do not buy a watch just because the listing says in-house, and do not dismiss a watch because it uses a supplier movement. The movement name is not a quality score. It is the beginning of the research. This is episode 1 of Noob's Guides to Watches. I'm still learning this hobby right alongside you. The only difference is that I'm volunteering to fall down the research rabbit hole first and report back before we all spend more money. In the next guide, we can break down stainless steel, titanium, bronze, ceramic, and all the other material brands used to convince us that the watch we already own is somehow missing an essential metal. I also want to talk about all the different types of steel, as that can get quite confusing. If this helped you decode even one movement that you had been pretending to understand, please subscribe and join me for the next Noob Guides to Watches. Hey guys, this is Scott from Secondhand Scott. Thank you so much for making it to the end. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please give me a like and subscribe, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care.